It's great to see you all.
Yeah, good to see you.
And yeah, there was a few instructions. I wondered if people might be able to bring like a sheet of paper and a marker pen. Have people got those?
Yes.
Yeah, marker pen, sheet of paper, so you can get one. Reach over there for it. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, what I wondered if people could come up with a word, and if they could write the word really big on the sheet of paper and hold it up on the screen, and just a random word, just a word that you feel like sharing, and see what pops into people's heads. Does that sound okay?
Quickly get a marker.
Get a marker. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a marker.
Any word.
Just any word. Any word.
When would you like us to show it?
Oh, well, just in a second.
Any rules on it being clean?
I'd prefer it if it was clean, but
All right.
What if
Cross
we
that one out then.
turn some bits of it into asterisks?
Pick a word.
I don't know any words that are clean.
So if you grab your piece of paper and write a word on it.
Dry detergent.
Wait, what kind of word are we writing here?
Any word you want, Will.
Just a random word.
Any word. Okay.
I tried to draw next to it, but I can't draw. But I tried to draw a little spoon.
Well, that's not very good. We're not showing them yet, are we?
Once you finish, you can show.
Oh, right, okay.
Back to front. It's back to front, but anyway, there we go.
What's yours, James?
Oh wait, hang on. You can.
Can you see mine?
How do you make things not be backwards? It's not backwards for everybody else.
There was an option in the settings that I found earlier. But
On advanced settings, you can flip your video around.
I don't want to do that.
Oh yeah.
It's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. I'll be a smart ass, maybe.
Cool word that's the other way around, I suppose.
It's a good opportunity to practice reading backwards.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, whiteboard.
Yeah.
If your pen's thick enough, you can just flip your paper around.
Kind of a big word that is not.
Okay.
Why is my one backwards?
It's just our own cameras are usually backwards, but you're the right way around to everybody else, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
How are we doing? We nearly there?
I'm still backwards. I'm trying to sort it out.
Mine looking backwards to you.
I've written it the right way. I read it backwards, so it's the right way up now.
Oh, right.
I probably spelt it wrong.
I only got my ends the wrong way around.
Where'd you find the change it round thing?
Oh, this is great.
People having a laugh. It comes out the right way around.
This is all going in the edit.
Yeah, it is.
Weird is probably the best word to appear backwards.
Oh, God.
There's a setting in
No,
video
not
settings.
working.
I can't find a setting to turn it.
Next to stop video, there's an arrow, and when you click on that arrow, there's the settings. And in video settings, one of the options is mirror my video. If you unselect mirror my video, it will be.
There was a bird, a fish, or an antelope, isn't it?
Ah.
Quiz answers. Wild.
Thank you. Did we get that? Amelia was explaining how the technology works, so thank you.
I'll rotate.
We have no idea.
Okay. Essentially what you've become there is a fridge magnet, okay?
Well, stuck to the fridge, yeah.
And I wondered, over the course of the evening, if people wanted to use some, any, or all of those words, they could maybe come up with a poem. I don't know. What do you think?
Sounds like a job for Craig.
Yeah.
Magic biscuits.
Nominated.
I think chaos may come in handy.
I think chaos
biscuits.
is
That's
the word.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't have the setup to do anything like that.
Wild help.
What does
I've already got one. Continuous
Gastric.
pelican.
Very good. Magic.
Gastric.
That's Owen. That's me.
Pub help.
Chocolate gin sounds good to me.
Gastric magic.
Hey!
I think Gastric Antelope was like a 90s band, right?
They definitely played on John Peel, didn't they?
Are you viewing him?
I dare say they have done, yes.
Rebecca, so can you see James next to me?
No,
Oh, Will, you're above James.
All right. From where I'm sitting, I can see Chaos Woggle.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, gallery view.
Wild Biscuits.
Yeah, if you go into gallery view, you'll be able to see all the different screens, but they may be in different orders on different people's screens. I just wondered if there was anyone who had a poem. I've got Antelope Magic, Help, Discombobulated, Wild Biscuit Gastric, Humming,
Weird.
Pineapple Woggle, Chaos,
Weird. Yeah.
Reflective Weird.
What
Bright
is
They're like, help, humming biscuits.
Yeah. This is interesting. I think that someone's going to compile all this into a scientific paper, and realize that we're all suffering from the effects of lockdown.
Yeah.
Tomata?
It's the side effect of being locked away for so long in a social isolation.
Yeah. Gin.
Nobody can get that on the thing, could they? Social isolation.
Susan's got a very deep voice all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's from Marta.
That's it.
Cool. All right. Well, that was interesting. If anyone wants to jot those down and come up with anything, we can regroup at the
do live action.
Yeah.
You're taking a screenshot of that.
I think it's all part of your synopsis of the thing later.
The other day, I did I found myself doing a writing workshop, leading a writing workshop that I'd not done before, and that was quite good. Just a few people wanting to join in and come up with some ideas, and we did that thing with the whiteboards, coming up with words, so we could maybe do that at the start of the second half as well. And then one of the things was we discovered a new word, which is COVIDiots. Do you know that one? Yeah? It was about people who break the lockdown, and they've been labelled as COVIDiots. And I thought we could do one of the acrostic poems.
Did you know that a group of COVIDiots is a Kofifi?
No. Very good. Oh, we're learning more words all the time. This is educational. Yeah. Okay.
I found out coronavirus, Bill.
Yeah?
Coronavirus is an anagram of carnivorous. Did you work it out? But
yeah.
Yeah, weird, but true.
Again, we're learning. So I came up with this one, and it goes like this. Closure of shops and schools. Only supermarket trips allowed. Vital workers can travel to work. Indoors, we mostly reside. Don't break the 2-meter rule. Identify a routine to stick to. Only together can we bring down the peak. The NHS and care workers look after the sick. Soon, we will return to normal, I hope. And that's that. Oh, thank you. Okay, Claire Roberts, you're up.
Yeah. Yes, this is not meant to offend, and this is a poem. This is not a poem about the coronavirus. So don't worry, you don't have to leave. Although, could you still stay 6 feet away from me, please? No, this is not a poem about a topic we all know. We're all thinking about it anyway. And I know a lot of us have been affected by it, creatively speaking. It's all we write about, and every piece of new writing in next year's Fringe Festival is going to be set in a lockdown, or about something contagious, or global pandemic, or a cute and quirky little look at the everyday people and families and lives who were tragically affected. No, I'm not going to bore you with the same material. And more importantly than boring an audience, I said what I said. I'm going to show some respect to those who, unlike me, are really having to deal with it. Therefore, I declare that this is not a poem about the coronavirus, so don't panic. I will not delve into wordplay with the masks we wear to protect ourselves physically, as well as emotionally. Dedicating prose to the NHS and all of the key workers would be a very sweet idea, but that would be highlighting what I do not wish to highlight. Because this is not a poem about the topic we all know. It's not about lamenting over COVID-19 and pondering on new concept of time and normal. It's not about what ifs and if only we had different leaders and all of our mayors were Italian and our prime minister was that cool lady from New Zealand. No, this poem, unfortunately, like me, can go nowhere right now. Because we're all stuck in isolated lockdown and everything's sad and I've got all the time in the world. And I'm spending it trying not to think, not to worry about the thing I keep telling you I'm not going to talk about. So I guess the person who's created and stifled is me. The one who is thinking about it anyway, but somehow not yet bored. The one who does wish that we had better leaders and that people would admit they wore masks more often than you can see them. I'm the one who is fearful of talking about it in an art form because I want to be respectful and not make art which is the wrong kind of painful. And I'm dreading all of the future work we're going to see that will be an insensitive exploit of what's currently going on. I just don't trust us enough to not get it wrong. So I'm not going to do anything of the sort for now. I'm still creating as well as still worrying. There are plenty of things to say, but I don't have to talk about COVID-19 unless I'm confident in my delivery and confident in my message, which I'm clearly not right now. Because people are scared, they're hopeful, crying, dancing. This isn't picking sides, this is one person in the isolated space of an hour. And I understand that as an artist, I yield power, so this is not a poem about the coronavirus. But if it was, would what I say be respectful and loving enough? Thanks.
Nice one, Claire.
Good job.
Good stuff. Great. Cool.
It's me now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to hold the microphone here because I'm very paranoid about not being picked up after the last time. Am I being picked up this time?
You are being picked up this time.
Good, because that was a horrible silence.
We all clubbed together beforehand just to freak you out.
Yeah. I want to shout as well. I've not really written anything during the lockdown, despite all the extra time, because I've just been having to, plug the void with things and stuff. But I managed to put some stupid thoughts down this morning in something that I call Untitled Nature Poetry. It goes like this. Bastard clouds ruin my sunrise. I shake my fist with the intent to show every inch of the sky, but tire quickly. And then I'll just pick a poem from random out of all the ones that I've got from the past. And this pause is for effect. There you go, now I'll do this one. Turned away from the monstrosity bellowing behind, like a tornado that has ransacked Bosch, and blow screeches through the men and creatures and their hollow painted bones. We keep our eyes fixed on the well-lit green, smooth and unproblematic, but shrinking every day, encroached upon by beached whales, filled to the brim with our negligence, joined by the skin-covered balloon bellies of children from far away enough to not matter. We make ourselves more myopic, kids shuffling closer to TV screens while parents fight fires in the kitchen. We don't care if our eyes go square. It's easier this way. And the smaller our field of vision, the better we can focus on fiction and assume the occasional peripheral blurs are good people sorting things out, not good people begging for help. By the time we turn to face it, we're already in its mouth. Thank you. Now for the music.
Okay, Becca.
Right. Okay, so that's hat number 1.
I got fucking Tony hat.
This is my Tony hat.
Oh, right. Okay.
From my perspective, he is down 1 and 1 to the right, Captain. I have 2 poems by the amazing Tony Hendry. The first one has a bit of French in it. I've been practicing my pronunciation, but if there's any French speakers, I'm very sorry. Tony says, I wrote this after a trip to Paris in late February. I get anxious abroad anyway, and this time there was rising concern about coronavirus and much uncertainty about whether the Louvre would be open. The number of lines in each verse rises then falls with the peak when I finally get into the Louvre. City break. Can't go. Must go. Anxious traveller up and away, thinking of gods and playthings. Made it. Arc de Triomphe. Poses in Lutetian limestone. Wins listed. Waterloo denied. Musée Jacques-Marc André. Rich couple bequeath a jewel. Uccello's St. George lances another dragon, still not dead. Brimming Seine, mud brown shared with diving cormorant. Cross to our fire-stormed lady. Notre Dame behind barriers. Première mois de Renaissance. Day 2. Louvre still shut. As staff and bosses discuss virus, squads of pompiers enters pyramid. Solidarity? Shiver and stamp feet. Staff emerge to smoke and shrug. Sod this for a game of soldat. Walk away fast. Don't look back. All this way. Useless buggers. Who can blame them? Lazy gits. Latin Quarter. Claw gut grip. Cafe fumble change, howl inside. Coffee and croissant help a bit. Abroad is such a foreign country. Musée National du Moyen Age. Scrap of mosaic in Roman baths. Curvy Galatea rides dolphin. La Dame à la Licorne tapestries. 5 senses plus enigma. Buy postcard of lady touching unicorn's horn with slim fingers. Check phone, and bloody hell, the Louvre has reopened. Soon I'm in, and it's dying slave. Queue for anticlimactic Mona. 2 fine Christs carrying crosses by Lotto and Martini. And cabinets of Nikes, Apollos, and Aphrodites. Seated scribe from ancient Egypt has seen it all. Lend me a calm mate and tell me where I am. Sully Wing or Richelieu? Overloaded, mouse in the maze. Vermeer's lacemaker at last, and Rembrandt's slaughtered ox ready for butchery. Fellow feeling. Traipse back to Denon for exit. Tell colossal bust of Antinous I've had this day in spite of all. Day 3. Marée in rain. Rough sleeper in Place de Vosges. High-end dog shit by Garden Gate. Musée Picasso. His pal, Casagemas, yellow-green skin, bullet wound at temple. Blue period woman with cataract sees better than me. Art surfeit, de trop, imbecile. Striped cat has caught a bird and enjoys its fluttering terror. Head of bearded man, savage, red eyes burning, pointed ears. Corday stabs Marat in his bath. Tuileries in sun and showers. Many tourists in white masks. Lingerie, Monet's water lilies, dash of calm. Weeping willows, get close and relish impasto. Outside, I catch a rainbow. It tells the virus to F right off. Umbrella blows away mid-photo. Man returns it. Act of kindness. CDG airport departure board. 100 flights, interconnection, contraction, airlines collapsing. Polite inquiry. Was your trip okay in spite of all the COVID carry-on? Polite response. Good, thanks. Yeah. That's poem number 1. There's 2 minutes 20 left.
Yeah.
I think I can, yeah. I think I've got this.
Okay,
yeah.
Good luck.
Tony says, this is a memory of a tricky day in the Cairngorm Mountains nearly 40 years ago, and it's for my dad. Parental guidance. A Cairngorm's gully, fat with snow. The right amount of give at first, boots sinking in a couple of inches. Grand, I thought, a fast way down to a hot drink by the bothy stove. Knowing my lack of common sense, he followed, quietly, in my footsteps. I'd be needing him soon enough. Ankle high, calf high, knee high, and the gully's flanks too steep now to crab sideways onto safe slopes. Then he began to talk. Right foot here, left there, use the rock for balance. Thigh high now, but it's just a patch. Try flopping like a sea lion for this bit. Use your hands and feet as flippers. Easy, wasn't it? Ludicrous, but easy. Piece of cake, like those we scoffed back then in the hills near the town. Rest 10 seconds, plow on for 30. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Keep sweating. Don't give in to the thought of sleep. And by the time you reach that rowan, the snow will be back to ankle deep. When I looked back, he wasn't there, and his voice stilled. So soon I learned to face the front as he talked me down, my calm, sure bondsman of safety. Beyond the rowan and out of danger, his voice stopped dead. As before, when slow to reach his hospital bed, I was too late to say goodbye. And how goes my timing?
I know, that was expert.
Yes.
Like she's a professional or something.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you, Becca, for that. That was fantastic again. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Yeah.
Man, you're a good writer. Jeez.
It's the work.
So on that first poem, just to bring things back home a bit, and in us, he was the boyfriend of our own Hadrian, who built the wall.
Ah.
Yeah, he had lots of sculptures of him got made in ancient times. Yes, so
Nice little history lesson.
yes, yes.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, good stuff. We're up to Susan. Shall we crack on and other people will join us as we go? So yeah, Susan.
Okay. I don't know, because I feel like some of my work's getting a bit samey when writing at this time, because I've got the same things surrounding me to inspire me, I guess. So they're not the same poetry, but has recurring themes very much so. But then James was saying that he's writing some nature poetry. Well, I suppose this is kind of like Nietzsche poetry. Thank you. Anyway, so the summer snow has fallen, dotting ivy leaves with pink stained white and gathering in flurries in the newly weeded crevices. Heavy blossom laden branches shedding delicate petals when a breath of wind blows through them, or a clumsy, floundering pigeon flap slaps its wings in frantic dance. There is no point in sweeping up, as I hear the plaintive moan of pigeon returning, but the colour wheel emerges on a gust of wind beneath the white, as blues and pinks of nodding bells and rosemary have overtook the green-stained yellows of daffodil and cowslip. I can see the next buds forming, know the wheel is turning, and the reds and purples will emerge to rule the summer months in majesty, as peony, chive and rose appear. My feet are brushed by snow-like petals standing on this thirsty earth, the gardener's curse, and days tick by in solitude, save the bird chit-chit and wee-oo of bluetit and of sparrow. And I wonder how my usual haunts are faring, ghost towns as they should now be, how lakes and hills bereft of boot and boat are knowing what to be. If the messy spread of nature has healed a pummeled world in the absence of our presence shaping print on place. Our selfish stamp of boot print now removed, or coast-destroying boat wash, what will earth become? My sweeping brush is laid aside as delicate petals fall like snowflakes, covering my just swept path. Thank you.
Excellent bird noises, in particular. The rest.
If I've been to SpeakEasy a few times, and basically I've been writing poems about mountains. So I've kind of still on the mountain path, but I've only managed to write. I failed a bit because I've only written one poem. So I'm gonna have to read you one as well from my book that I did in 2018, which is Wingspan. So I'll read you one of those as well. If you like Wingspan, you can buy it for £5. There you go. So I'll bring it next time. So I'm going to start off with the cave. So I'll read you that one first. High above the tamed lands, I spy it. Here, surrounded by bouldered rock, lies the hardness of darkness, pitch black. The breath of earth cools my bones as I proceed. The shade falls, consuming space and time in one. The mouth stands silent, jagged and ribbed by stone. Wide and gaping, it takes me in. I bend and bow at such a feature, swallowed by darkness, where sun and moon cease to exist. I hear the drip, but do not know, and it occurs that I have never done so. sight lost and senses blurred, stumbling and staggering, and staggering. I feel the underworld, smell its dampness, Pluto's paradise. Touch its rugged surface, but there's nothing clear, no diamonds in the dust, not even shadow. So that's my first one. So that was the cave. So that's another one for my kind of mountain poems. This one's all on birds, really. So I tried to do ones on birds, and the poem I'm going to read you is called Salt Home, which is an RSPB reserve between Middlesbrough and where is it? Middlesbrough and the other town up there, which is Hartlepool. So I'm going to read you that one. So it's called Salt Home. Framed by the steel giant, they flock in, past flaming stacks and the grim sea, an oasis in the darkness. Fuming chimneys surround them, traffic belches diesel, and yet they are here, somehow defying logic. Avocets raise their slender necks, sifted timidly by the central pool. Only reed beds masking the highway beyond. Turn circle not noisily, teeming in by the hundreds. Sucked in and sandwiched between industrial towns. Birds in the eye of the storm, finding tranquility amongst the madness. Quiet within the throng. Threading the needle to these middle marches, where the scarce and uncommon collect and thrive. Ahead, a grounded oil rig wallows by the sands. Seals do the same on the beach nearby. Concrete gives to thistles, pipe factories to sunlit skies, and the birds gather in their thousands. That's very weird that you don't get the clapping, you just get the hands.
Yeah, yeah.
It's quite a different medium, isn't it? So thank you very much. That's all I want to say, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Juliet. No, we can't hear you, but hang on. We can't hear you, Juliet. Can you unmute your screen?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah? Can you hear me?
Yep. Good.
Okay. Is the sound okay? Because it's been breaking up all day on the computer, but you can hear me okay now?
It's okay so far. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. Haven't got the robot voice.
Not yet.
I did a reunion with some friends on that I used to work with on Zoom in the last couple of weeks, and I used to work in sales training, and one of the guys that well, most of us have moved on, but one of the guys was still doing the sales training, and someone in our group was kind of laughing about it, and I wrote this poem in defense of Ray, who I wanted to be the hero of the piece. Ray. Though hackneyed in his presentation, at least he's still working as he tours the motels and conference suites of the Pines in upstate New York, no longer under the tutelage of the infamous A.J. Bamber, who, according to rumour, died alone in one such hotel room somewhere off the state highway in 1992 from the long-term side effects of taking uppers in the morning and downers before bed. Not that this was unheard of for a motivational speaker working such a lucrative patch. But anyway, I want to tell you about Roy, the heir to Bamber's territory, still delivering the same material 20 years later, with the same enthusiasm, giving masterclasses in selling for maximum success, and watching him admittedly via webcast. I'm amazed this stuff keeps doing the rounds. But at least he's not dead, and at least he's still working. I've got a really short one, if there's time.
Go for it.
It's called the railway. My father. The railway, my father. The daffodils. The creeping, my father. The railway. The daffodils, my father. The creeping, my father. My hand. I know that's very obscure. I've been on a course.
No, good. David Bamford.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Right. A certain amount of what I've written recently has been prompted by what we're living through. And this is the first one. It was intended as an open letter to all children who have lived through and would remember the year of COVID-19. And it's written really as if in retrospect. My child, you will remember, not because it was the year we left the European Union. That was a detail which history will forget. But because coronavirus took the planet by the throat and tried to choke it, stripped shelves in shops and supermarkets, closed businesses and eating places, grounded planes and sent you home from school, while parents worked from home, self-isolating, social distancing were terms not known before, now in the use of every day. What did you do when you had to stay at home? Did your learning stop? Did you forget your friends, or they drop you? Or did you concentrate on living, knowing that this would be the year that you'd remember, a year in which you lived and learned and grew and overcame?
That was really nice, David. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow. Do you have another, or are we gonna?
I've got another. Yes, I've got another. This is one that I wrote to order. In Lanicos, where I live, the cricket club is open on Friday evenings and does duty as a pub. And we take it in turns to be bar people. And on my evening, I asked the bloke in charge if I could leave early. And he said, yeah, I'll let you leave early as long as you write a poem. So I said, okay. So I sent him this the following day. It's called The End of the Evening. Pints are pulled and being drunk, wine glasses, slender stemmed and elegant, with measured marks, 125, 175, 250, contain straw-coloured wine. On the open hatch ledge are glasses washed and to be washed. Conversation, muted from two tables. Hands move, emphasizing points, and the amber glow that shows through the stove door window fades to grey as embers die. An empty crisp bag lies empty and inert upon the bar. Contents consumed, of no more use. I pick it up, scrunch it, bin it, take a cloth and mop beer slops from the counter. The clock moves on. I look around. Meniscuses of beer and wine in glasses have moved down. Drinking up is slow, deliberate, favored and enjoyed. No hurry. The barman's job is done. There will be no more orders. Quietly, I slip off home. No?
Easy.
Yeah, really lovely. Okay, Kelly.
Hi, everyone. I couldn't face writing about COVID-19 again. And I've just had a few poems published in Southlight magazine. This is one of them, and it's one of my rare cheerful poems, which I wrote about going to aqua aerobics, which of course no one can do at the moment. I used to enjoy going to it at our local pool, but in fact this pool closed a while ago. Anyway, it's called Mermaid Aerobics. In the lukewarm chlorinated pool, we bask and chat, waiting to begin. I'm at the back and the beat starts. We're jogging gently in a watery trance. The music speeds up, rows of shoulders heaving, pneumatic arms pumping to girls just want to have fun. We're ponies prancing, knees up high. Now we're Jackie Chan's punching underwater villains. Finally, we float and stretch, cradled in fluorescent serpents, legs tensed, pointing toes into invisible tails. Later in the changing room, we're grabbing quick showers, trying not to slip on cold, wet floors. We're tugging combs through stubborn hair, wriggling into jeans, calling over our shoulders, "See you, lass, see you next week." Out in the car park, breath furling into night air, we head home to landlocked husbands. That's it. I've got another depressing one about COVID-19 if you want to hear that as well. I'll just do that quickly. What colour is lockdown? The colour of lockdown is yellow, dandelions and gorse on my daily walk. The sound of lockdown is birdsong, blackbirds, seagulls, and no traffic. The smell of lockdown is bread baking, people using stockpiled flour. The language of lockdown is viral load, isolation, PPE. The sadness of lockdown is empty streets, businesses gone. The grief of lockdown is people dying alone. The feeling of lockdown is life put on hold. The strangeness of lockdown is how quickly this all became normal. That's it.
Okay.
How has James become a black and white film?
He lives his life in film noir.
That's just what happens to me after 8:30 now.
Right. Okay. And Craig's in a Brat Pack movie or something. What's going on?
Oh, that's Leslie. Hello. There's a few more people joining us.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
We've got.
Oh, look at you. Hey, Becca, I like your beard. Wayne needs his hair cutting though.
We're up to Jean. Jean's going to do one, I think, or two, and then we'll see where we are.
I've just got to apologise. I'm afraid I have to go down for my tea soon, as usual. I'll hang on for a bit longer, though.
What are you having?
Lentil soup.
Lentil soup?
Always. Yeah, we have vegetarians and vegans in the house, so it's an easy meal.
Oh, God, things
Lentil
must be
soup's
desperate.
the best.
You should have done your lentil poem. I love that poem.
Oh, next time.
Excellent.
Okay, we'll crack on. We're nearly at the end of the first half, so Jean.
Is it me?
It is.
Okay. Right, this poem hasn't got a name because I don't know what it is yet, what it's called yet. But anyway. A crown of wires atop the telegraph pole is lorded over by a bloated ball of grey. The wood pigeon surveys the cobbled lanes across, along, and for a reason known to pigeon brain alone, selects this now to complain in its lugubrious tone against the dirty hussy further up the lane. How in a sky as blue as Tuesday, benign with mottled gauze for clouds, does the natural world still berate the Magdalene? Reformed is no insurance against ill renown. The shame of a woman who breached the marital bed colours the call of all birdsong in my head. Yes, really?
Okay. All right, okay.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry. And this is a found poem. I don't know how genuine it is, but it's been around the internet, and I quite liked it. It's apparently, I don't know if this is true, but it's apparently instructions on how to ride motorcycles. Have you seen this? How to ride motorcycles, 1962, safety rules from Honda, translated into the English. At the rise of the hand by policeman, stop rapidly. Do not pass him by or otherwise disrespect him. When a passenger of the foot hooves in sight, tootle the horn trumpet, melodiously at first. If he still obstacles your passage, tootle him with vigour, and express by word of mouth warning, hi, hi.
Hi, hi, hi.
Beware of the wandering horse, that he shall not take flight as you pass. Do not explode the exhaust box at him. Go smoothingly by. Give big space to the festive dog that makes sport in roadway. Avoid entanglement of dog with wheel spokes. Go soothingly on the grease mud, as there lurks the skid demon. Press the brake foot as you roll around the corners, and save the collapse and tie up.
Amazing. That's great. My new favourite word is reading.
Sorry, try that.
That's all good advice as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kelly. Bye.
The lentil soup must be ready. Okay, we've pretty much got to the end of the first half, so I've got one here. It's based on a true story, and it's called Frog in a Bucket. The other day, I found an uninvited house guest down in the cellar, an amphibious little pest. I said, "Hey, you'd better stop it. Clear off, go on, hop it." The tiny eyes just gave me a stare. This little frog hadn't a care. Now, it's a bit damp in the basement, but I figured the interloper might prefer location replacement. So after chasing with gloves and a bucket, and much pleading, I snuck it into a plastic pail, a water-carrying aid. And a break for freedom we both of us made. It was tea time on my road, so nobody did I see as I strode the few 100 yards round the corner, near to the cricket ground, old well, trees and the fauna. My speckle-covered companion of green and brown perked up the nearer we got to the river, maybe finding familiar the smell and the sound. Soon we reached the end of the road. To the small pond I returned this adventurous frog, or was it a toad? Hop, skip, and splash. Without a thank you, it returned to the water. To retrace my steps, I decided I ought to. On my return, I avoided a couple, probably curious about what's in the bucket, while they were walking their dog. If asked, I would have told them. I'm pretty sure the government said it's okay to leave the house if you need to walk your frog. Thank you. Based on a true story. Okay, we've got a few minutes in hand. Was there anybody who wanted to do an extra poem from that first half? I mean, Laura?
I'm not really a poet, I'm more of an illustrator. So what I did is I illustrated some of the words from earlier and tried to put it into a bit of a short story. So here we go.
Yeah.
Make a noise so I can see you.
Wonderful.
I didn't see any of them. I only
you
saw
have to make a noise so I can see you.
Can you do them again, Laura? That was so popular.
Hum a tune.
Put down.
Encore!
In Laura's video.
Okay, here we go, guys.
What have we got? Magic biscuits.
We've got magic biscuits. Help! Discombobulated antelope.
I like its tentacles.
Continuous woggle humming. There.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great.
I'm afraid I've got to leave at this point. So
okay.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Hope to see you next time.
Yes, lovely to see you, David. Take care, and we'll see you.
That was great, David.
Cool. Did anybody have another one they wanted to read?
I'll read one.
Mark?
Yeah?
Yeah, okay, go for it. I could put you in the second half as well, but sure.
All right. Yeah, this is an old poem that I wrote knowing all this would happen.
Right.
And I wrote it 39 years ago. And it's a bit like the things we keep seeing in America. These people are going to live forever. It's called The Survivalist. He's ready for anything, that bloke. Approach him from behind and he'll break your arm. Come at him with a blade, steeled for the death jab. He'll take out your eyes, soon as look at you. He's the sort you want stood next to you in the trench, he is. In exactly 4 weeks' time, his long-suffering wife will stab him through the heart as he sleeps unguarded beside her.
Fucking dark.
Not sure about that one.
Thank you for that.
How old were you when you wrote that, Mark? Would that be 16?
Hey, no, I was 3.
Sorry, pull that side.
Tough childhood then.
Cool. Okay, well, the running order for the second half. Oh, Leslie, I forgot. Did you want to read anything? Yes or no? Or yes?
Yeah. I was just wondering if you were lip read there. Can I sing a song? A song?
Yeah, in the second half. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Was there anybody else that I missed off before who wanted to read anything? Give us a wave if you wanted. Okay. The running order for the second half then is me, Richard, Alison, Dave Hill, Becca, Annie Kendall, Amelia, Kevin, Roz, Jeanette, Hillary, Les can do a song, and then Owen, Craig, Will, and Fernando Smith, if he's in the building.
Not an early night then.
No.
What else are you going to do?
Oh yeah, if anyone wants to come up, if you've got your bits of paper, come up with another word and see what you can come up with word-wise.
Has anyone else noticed Mark frozen in a really creepy smile?
No, that's just his face.
Charming.
Do you want us to do the word now first?
Yeah, do the word now, and we can show each other the word, and then we can have a little think about maybe Laura will write another story for us. Pub 2, The Revenge.
Revenge of the Empire.
I'm really proud of myself for writing an S backwards.
Yeah, but it's back.
But not the N, ignore the N. The N's not there.
Was it a particular word that you were looking for?
Just anything. Just one word. Just one word that comes to mind.
Wood chip.
We've done the N.
Right. Good.
Are we doing words again?
Yeah, doing words again.
What do we do with the words?
Show them on the screen. So if you write a word on the piece of paper.
He's got to steal them and make loads of money on the backs of impoverished wordsmiths.
Yeah, that was my high. I was mining the words.
Yeah. He knows what gold we've got here.
I know. Okay, we got words.
I'm writing mine and
Can you
Owen's,
read this one?
and I'm writing them backwards again. Because I don't know where the button is to flip the camera.
Oh, hang on.
But we see it the right way around.
Blank. Oh yeah, right. Spinning.
You can have that.
Fluid nebula roses. Broccoli hair.
Granular feminist.
Is that like an intersectional feminist?
Like a what?
Like an intersectional feminist, but in smaller bits.
It's one that comes in easy to handle doses.
Meticulous swab.
Ooh.
Fluid roses looks good.
Fluid roses.
Pim's the claw.
You spelled Pims wrong, you fucking alky.
Caribou. Blank caribou.
2 M's, isn't it? You've only got 1.
It's 2 M's.
Yeah,
I
Craig.
carry booze to scare everybody.
This is good. This is causing chaos, which was one of the words last time. So good stuff. Contribularity, excellent.
Nest madness. That's what we're suffering from. Nest madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the sky tonight, you get a lovely view of the Caribou Nebula.
That sounds like a real thing.
Is it shaped like a caribou?
No, it's shaped like the musical artist Caribou, which is just one man. So it's not that interesting, really.
Broccoli necklace.
Madness. I think madness covers it. Yep, madness. Good madness.
I'm seeing blank madness, which sounds like a kind of insanity. I suppose.
So I've got a poem, and it's called Hidden Beauty, and it was Susan was doing an online workshop the other day, and it was about. I had been told it was about hidden beauty, and it turned out to be about newts. But hidden beauty was also part of it. So I cobbled this together, and it goes like this. Creepy, crawly creatures always get a bad press. They may not look pretty, often leaving behind a sticky and slimy silver grey mess. Caterpillars writhe along, dozens of pairs of feet rippling and feelers twitching as they wander their way. Spiders slink and dart, stop and start, scrawny stick-like sideways stalkers. Their murky brown scaffold of a body carries them forth. The closed, delicate but plain-looking wing of a dowdy-looking moth. Poor relation of the brightly coloured flutterby thing. All are overlooked and undervalued, labelled ugly like circus freaks. When we're really not looking at the bigger picture. Ignore the headline news and misheld convention. Look for the true beauty beneath. Moths aren't devoid of colour. Rembrandt-esque dark brushstrokes emerge from a sepia colour palette. Though muted, their open wings are a canvas of exquisite design. Our eight-legged friends hunt flies and collect other pests. They are little eco-warriors, always watchful and never rests. To catch their prey, magnificent webs they spin. The silk they weave comes from within. Dewdrops glinting on a frost-covered spider's web must surely be one of nature's finest motifs. And the caterpillar, famously famished, piled food away, enters a cocoon, soon found abandoned. It's apparently vanished. Only a fragile, fluttering flash of colourful butterfly wings is seen, hurriedly scurrying from the scene, before ascending up into blue, blue skies. Maybe it's true what they say, that beauty is only truly seen through the beholder's eyes. And that's that one. Thank you very much. Oh, and I see we've got the words are made available for anyone who wants to jot down any work out of them. So thank you to Amelia. Okay, Richard.
Yeah, I'm here and I'm ready. I have this on behalf of my son's Australian girlfriend, somebody called S.J. Patterson, who is apparently an Aussie bush poet, wrote this little story. I just need to mention a couple of things before I read it because it's going to be in an Australian accent, obviously. Dunny roll means toilet roll, and a place called Coles is a large supermarket. But anyway, it goes something along these lines. The year was 2020, early March, or thereabouts, off the back of quite a summer, plagued by bushfires and droughts. So the nation was exhausted. Many folks weren't thinking straight, which goes some way to explaining #toilet papergate. It started with a virus. Some say China was the donor. So they called it COVID-19, but we called it My Corona. And we saw the illness spreading and the cruise ships quarantined as we sanitized our fingers, and cruise ships were quarantined. Then we sanitized, we saw the illness spreading as we lined up to be screened. Then in amongst the panic, someone headed down to Coles and loaded up their trolley full of toilet paper rolls. We'll never know who did it, what their motive was or why, or the brand of roll they hoarded. Was it scented or two-ply? All we know was in that moment when they took it from the shelf, they released a chain reaction as a nation shat itself. Now we faced wars and cyclones and we've survived them all as one. But the toilet paper shortage, well, it made us come undone. For people started hoarding all the last remaining sheets. There were punch-ups in the aisles. There was panic in the streets. "Me crap's in need of wiping," someone cried in desperation. "What else can I do to solve this blasted situation?" Some stooped to using gum leaves. Others left it on the floor. Many wiped it with plastic bags and then returned them to the store. While others rocked on the veranda with shotgun fully manned. To protect their precious stock, they'd rather die than use their hand. And the cheeky beady owners with their derrieres unhurt, well, they rented out their bathrooms for $20 a squirt. But the greatest single irony throughout this sordid farce, you get corona up your nose and lungs, not shooting out your ass. So we'll never know when faced with a pandemic-level slaughter why we spent our cash on poo tickets instead of food and water. For history will tell you how the virus was contained, but the Russian toilet paper, that can never be explained. And I wonder if the Anzacs were infected by some jerks who'd fight over a dunny roll instead of fighting Turks. Because it seems to me it could be a true blue Aussie trait to panic in a crisis and steal bog roll from your mate. Yeah. Sorry about the rather poor Australian accent, but that's my coronavirus view anyway.
All right. Follow that, Ali.
If you can.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I've got a short corona one, which you can do after this one. If the sound goes, can everyone just give it a thumbs down so I know? Thank you. Counterpart. Here on the beach overlooking Ravenglass Estuary, the space between us is nothing and everything. To the west, Pearl sky meets Irish sea in a thin kiss line. A grounded catamaran reflects weight upon weight, twin keel balanced. Gull wings slice air, and up the coast at Sellafield, nuclear fission splits atoms and hairs. Behind us in the village, people come and go from red brick stations following necessity and notions. Silence envelops. Ice cream melts on my lips, and time is an unbidden companion. I board, sit alone, gaze out of the carriage window filled with mirror-bright water. I am a princess in a storybook, a passenger chasing infinity. My train follows parallel tracks, dreamy coastal margins, memories of Ravenglass stowed under a vast Solway sky. And I've got a short COVID one. Home sweet home. Go away, COVID, with your corona blowing trumpets. Go away, COVID, with your wheel of club feet. Ring a ring of roses. I gather up your rings, play hula hoop chase in the park, throw a basket in one, crown myself Miss COVID World 2020. Sit in a circle to ward off evil. I lay down ring after ring, connect them to complete the jigsaw, earth-sized, rather beautiful really. Then I take my biggest hammer and smash it to pieces. Go away, coward. My home is not sweet. That's it.
Cool. All right. Dave Hill.
Okay.
Hello.
I'm here. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Right. People have been talking about, seem to have been talking about pigeons a lot, and pigeons that seem to be evoking some sort of emotional response. So I thought I'd read this by James Thurber. It's from a story called "There's an Owl in My Room." I saw Gertrude Stein on the screen one afternoon, and I heard her read that famous passage of hers about pigeons on the grass. Alas, the sorrow is, as you know, Miss Stein's. After reading about the pigeons on the grass, alas, Miss Stein said, "This is a simple description of a landscape I have seen many times." I don't really believe that that is true. Pigeons on the grass, alas, may be a simple description of Miss Stein's own consciousness, but it is not a simple description of a plot of grass on which pigeons have alighted, are alighting, or are going to alight. A truly simple description of pigeons alighting on the grass of the Luxembourg Gardens, which is, I believe, where the pigeons alighted, would say of the pigeons alighting, there are only that they were pigeons alighting. Pigeons that alight anywhere are neither sad pigeons nor gay pigeons. They are simply pigeons. It is neither just nor accurate to connect the word alas with pigeons. Pigeons are definitely not alas. They have nothing to do with alas, and they have nothing to do with hooray. They have nothing to do with mercy me or isn't that fine either. White rabbits, yes, Scotch terriers, blue jays, even hippopotamuses, but not pigeons. A number of pigeons alight from time to time on the sill of my hotel window when I am eating breakfast and staring out the window. They never alas me. They never make me feel alas. They never make me feel anything. From where I am sitting now, I can look out the window and see a pigeon being a pigeon on the roof of the Harvard Club. No one thing can be less what it is not than a pigeon can. And Miss Stein, of all people, should understand that simple fact. Behind the pigeon I am looking at, a blank wall of tired grey bricks is stolidly trying to sleep off oblivion. Underneath the pigeon, the cloistered windows of the Harvard Club are staring in horrified bewilderment at something they have seen across the street. The pigeon is just there on the roof, being a pigeon, having been and being, and what is more, always going to be a pigeon. Nothing could be simpler than that. It's a simple description of a pigeon on a roof. It is only with an effort that I am conscious of the pigeon, but I am acutely aware of a great sulky red iron pipe creeping up the side of the building, intent on sneaking up on a slightly tipsy chimney, which is shouting its head off. There is nothing a pigeon could be, or can be, rather, which would get into my consciousness like a fumbling hand in a bureau drawer, or disarrange my mind, or pull anything out of it. I bar nothing at all. You could dress up a pigeon in a tiny suit of evening clothes, and put a tiny silk hat on his head, and a tiny gold-headed cane under his wing, and send him walking into my room at night. It would make no impression on me. I would not shout, "Good God Almighty, the birds are in charge." But if you sent an owl into my room, dressed only in the feathers it was born with, no monkey business, I would pull the covers over my head and scream. No other thing in the world falls so far short of being able to do what it cannot do as a pigeon does, or of being unable to do what it can do too, as far as that goes. There you go. There's an owl in my room.
Right. Cool. Okay. Becca.
Okay.
Which hat have you got this time?
I have a hat with a feather in and a pretty ribbon. Which way around is best? Let's go feather at the front. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, there we go. I have 2 poems by Alan John Stubbs, who is a local fella. Funnily, I've known his face for a really long time, and I've known the name on Facebook, but it was only about a month or 2 ago that the 2 joined up, and I got a name to put to the face. So I actually know who he is now, which is quite nice. And he passed these on to Phil to be read out because he couldn't be here.
Because
Sure.
today's his birthday, so he's doing a family Skype thing for his birthday.
Oh, good reason. Happy birthday, Alan, who isn't here to hear that. So one was written before the world we now live in, and one was written sort of AC, I guess. Okay, so this tree had flat shoes. Flatties, she would call them, broad, not thin, that tapered in to the unbroken moss and liverwort-covered earth, where crawling things make something of themselves, apparently out of nothing, just like she had. All of that thicken and rise, foliage and flowers, sometimes snatched from the air like a promise, as if thought could be solid drinking light. She would swallow streams, making them flow up her throat canals in defiance of gravity itself. Transported by affinity alone, until, as easy on the ear exaltations of joy, they became cloud form, laden with chemical speech, saying all of those things one life might say to another. She moves tenderly, seeking a way between obstructions, joining strut limb to limb, long toe to toe, knowing something of the frisson of the little movements inside her sleeve, outside her arm's reach. She was always one for sensible shoes, small steps, gentle exercises, stretching out slowly as far as she could go and then coming to rest. By the smallest of increments, orienting herself to the sun and easing through outside of notice, where green and sappy thought lives. As the movement of air through leaves, its vellum moss folds of consideration, lichen flecked, caught in the act of vanishing. Wow, that is weird.
That's really strange.
This one just has a date for a title. I don't know if that's intentional or not. 26th of April, 2020. As if exercising, wet leaves flutter out of branchlings thinner than matchsticks, fill to sappy and dry, orient to the sun. Multicolored notes, a revolution, a series of endless revolutions reacting to light's lengthening strut. All of our talk is of death, the numbers of the infected. All of our talk is of staying apart. 3 white swans, slender necks in, heads under, are pure ice cream floats on the water, feeding beyond the weir, where white peaks of cascade are. They are part moon, or would be if the moon was irregular, off-regular, and unspherical. Perhaps that is how these days feel, real and unreal. The water is the colours of dry clay, as if it were earth moving swiftly between the banks. It is as if where we stand could loosen and collapse and fall at any moment. Further, towards Stainton, is a shore of pebble, rock, brick and part brick, discarded bicycle, a going solo Wellington boot, a single shoe. A crow so black it's blue patrols the edge, beaking into crevices. It's a single strand of RNA, lives by burrowing in under the skin, taking over other cells and making them reproduce more of itself. A blunt instrument, some say. There is a kind of grunt language outside of music. One swan, beak burrowing deep into its tail, loosens a feather. It floats dizzily downriver, all wet, follicle delicate. Thank you.
Woo!
Cool. Annie, have you got one for us, Annie? Or are you whittling?
I'm sanding. I'm
Sanding.
making a splash.
Very nice. I'm going to have to go soon, Phil. So I'll say cheerio, everybody.
Okay, cheers, Richard. Good to see you. Take care.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
I've got two really short ones.
Cool.
The first one is a haiku, which I think is a sort of haiku, and it's basically a poem where the first line has one word, the second line has two words, and the third line has three words. And this is one that I wrote the other day. Sirens from blackbirds, a hawk overhead, bickering brown sparrows in the hedge, jackdaw carrying twigs to our chimney, chaffinch singing loudly on highest branch, me sitting here writing it down. Thank you. And then the other one I've got, it's I've been part of a poetry thing online, and it's a triolet where you've got to do all sorts of repetition of lines. And I had a poem that I'd written before that I altered for this. So it's a variation on my autumn leaf poem. I need a word for the journey of the autumn leaf, for it does not fly like a bird. I need a word, a single descriptive verb, for how it slips, slides, glides, spins and turns and tumbles slowly, slowly to my feet. I need a word for the journey of the autumn leaf. And that's me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
No problem. I'm going to go back to my sanding and listening to the rest of the poems. It's been a really good night.
Yeah, it's really cool. Who are we up to? Amelia, have you got something for us, Amelia?
Yes, I do. So Michael and I are in Lancaster, so we don't usually make it up to Carlisle, so we're really excited about being here, being able to join tonight. So this one is based on the first batch of words that people submitted on the screen. And I managed to use 21 out of the 22 words that I was able to jot down. Hopefully you see the irony that the word I missed out is the word erroneously.
Fantastic.
Anyway, so this is it. Virtual pub night. No weird gastric concoctions, no tomato biscuits or pineapple gin, and certainly no woggle chocolate. What is that anyway? Instead, bright screens, discombobulated chaos, continuous humming, make it stop. The bird song, the running antelope, one can dream, sfumato musings. These may well help. But truly, virtual pub night, it gathers us in this magic interspace beyond your living room and mine, The burdens of work, life, disease are cast away for a moment. For an instant, we take a breath together and let it out, uplifted.
Hey!
All right, so yeah, the other one isn't from the words that were submitted. It's about the process of writing poems, so hopefully some of you relate to some of it. Poet hunters stalk in silence the tangled grasses of their soul. They still, ever watchful when their prey appears, then pounce and never let go. Such a poet I rarely am. Poet dreamers sit cheekily, their legs dangling in mythical waters. They watch the ripples and, hypnotized, feel the poem engrave upon their soul. Such a poet I sometimes am. Poet builders toil brick by brick. They shape and form each one. They apply mortar and cement, painstakingly raising their work. Such a poet is occasionally me. Poet gardeners plant a seed, then patiently leave it grow. They sometimes feed and water it, then finally prune it into shape. Such a poet I often am. That's me.
Definitely.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. That's great. Cool. We've got about 4.5 minutes before it times out, but next up is Kevin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm going to read then. This is a work in progress. It's called Periscopes and Telescopes. Isolation can lead to introspection, another road to fear. Empty streets, shoppers gone, so I am told, beyond the trees. Borrowing and credit, international, north and south, universal application, credit where it's due. Muffled speech, homes of rest, no visitors allowed, day by day, night by night. Daily briefing, stay at home. Is this my home? Is it time for tea? How are the humans doing? Rural isolation, devastation, not like this before. Fire on the fell, a casual match, cinders choke the air. Purple loose strife will come back. Common black knapweed sways. Blazing cauldrons, common valerian, patchwork umber trails. Oxeye daisies, moors and meadows, paint them if you will. Tuning in. This is a continuation of it, but it's, as I say, work in progress. The humans, said a voice. How are they doing? The TV. He threw it over the balcony. What's that? Said the voice. They watch it all the time, came the faint reply. Can they survive another day? They are trying. Did we send them something? Yes. In what form? Arms, of course. Of course. It's in the book. Yes, of course. They've opened the gates. It's very informal. They call it the new normal. So I see. What do you make of it? What? Homeschooling. Oh, it's not for me. I tick the box. Do you see? On the screen, number 5, top right. How are they doing? They're up the stairs. 10 flights, exhausting. Not for me. Camera 7, movement. No traffic. That's good. Is it? Drone. What? Camera 10. Drone. See it? Footballers. Send a squad, sort them out. Show it on TV. If you say so. I do. They love it. That's as far as it goes. Thank you.
Mark, sideways.
Sideways, Mark.
Oh, you're sideways.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of perspective, man.
Changes orientation when he's being Fernando.
Yeah. It's the angles. You got the angles wrong, kid. What's this?
A different perspective on the world. It's good. Ooh, another dimension in the.
Oh, Tony's gone.
Wow.
He's fallen off the edge of the camera.
Have we all had a lot of sugar or something before this?
It's been a particularly mad day today. I've spoken to a lot of people today, various digital formats, and everyone's been really, really daft, really crazy. And I don't know what's going on. It's something weird. Oh, it's just told me my battery's running out. Let me think.
Oh, metaphorically or literally? Well, we're on mute.
Oh. There's some. Weirdly, I found some hats similar to the ones Becca and Owen have got, and I got.
Oh, James.
Which one?
Yeah, just.
Is that a pork pie?
Bit of a change.
Hat.
A bowler hat, I think. It's a crushed bowler hat.
Got a haircut as well.
Oh, it's got a narrow rim.
Beautiful.
It's my Stan Laurel impression.
Definitely.
You'll note my bowler hat is gold from the time I was a living statue as Charlie Chaplin. Obviously. Dave's gone for the colonial look.
Oh, thank you.
James, you're in space. Are you okay? Did you send a rocket?
I can't hear you, Claire. Sound doesn't travel in space. In fact, I don't know why I'm even speaking.
Do you want a hat?
You're gonna send a rocket to come get you. Oh no, you're landing.
No, don't worry. I've landed in the tall grass.
Oh, that's good. It'll break your fall.
Oh, I need a hat now.
I'm going to have to reorient myself.
Yes. Good.
I'm only going to wear a hat if I don't look silly.
Fernando doing.
Whatever you do, don't let the hat wear you.
Yeah.
I'll go on then.
Blinders hat.
And see Riddick.
I'll give you a choice.
I love this. Instead of a word this time, it's get a hat.
Get a head, get a hat.
My hat's got a word on it. I win.
Oh, Becca's wearing multiple hats.
My hat's got a word on it.
I don't have a hat. I have
It's
a
got a
mask.
feather in it.
Will that work?
Joe, have you got your word from before? I think it was chaos.
Hey, I quite like this hat, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Chaos. Oh, good.
Somebody only just noticed yours.
Joe, you've disappeared.
Very timely.
Right. This is a fine collection of hats.
Peaky Blinders. We're going for the Peaky Blinders look.
It's on, Phil.
Oh, yeah, Craig would have a fez, wouldn't he?
The neck is starting to feel the strain. Dude, is that the dude?
It's the dude, yeah. He speaks as well, but he's like... He speaks
James
when we move past him. So I took the batteries out again.
Pith helmet. Susan's taking the
Oh,
pith.
he's beautiful.
Is that your taking the pith helmet?
She's taking the pith.
She always does.
And Santa's
It's a
around.
solar topi.
Claire's just wearing a piece of paper.
You've got to imagine it's a hat. I've repurposed my notebook to a hat.
It's like a
I'm
mortarboard.
thrifty.
I thought it was
This is recycling.
This is going to be a really smooth edit.
Yeah, keep taking them off and putting them on.
On Hardy, everybody swap hats.
Fernando.
Hello.
I'll swap hats with you.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got comic book.
That's award-winning.
You all look beautiful.
Thank you.
I think I'll go for the solar topi.
It's fine. You're born.
Okay.
Oh, Joe, you've got your top hat. Amazing.
You're in a beer killer.
Oh, that's very spooky.
What's happened to Becca? Oh,
Which is that?
turned into glass.
We need screenshots of this.
Just turned out had a head of glass.
This is
James, what have
Eric.
you done? You've taken your mask off, James. Put it back on, otherwise people will know.
I couldn't. My long horse snout was starting to ache from the horrible day.
Okay.
Is there a gimp
Oh
in
shit,
the
are we meant to be doing something?
Yeah, poor Roz is waiting patiently to read
Yeah.
stuff.
Let's just muck about for a bit.
What do you think the evening's about?
No.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, hat wearers.
I think this will.
So,
Yes. Poetry.
welcome to the
let's do-
Carlisle and District Pony Playing Club.
Very good. Chaos. Okay. Welcome back to this next part of the ongoing hat extravaganza. Roz, do you have some poetry for us? And if everyone else can mute, that would be lovely. Thank you.
I was going to read you this, which isn't a poem, but something I did a few weeks ago. I took all the films out of the Kirkgate brochure and linked them all together in a little sort of story. So I think there's actually 15 film titles in it. So you'll have to see how many you can spot. Right. If it wasn't for the official secrets, the aeronauts in La Belle Epoque would have told Harriet about the last climb and given her permission to get her knives out, because all the cats, 40 of them, and the Little Women in 1917 were found in the personal history of David Copperfield. Sorry, this is handwritten, sorry. Who dropped the bombshell that he was actually the parasite that destroyed society with greed. Sorry, didn't read it very well, but that was, having done the word thing, I thought you could have that. Do you want a poem as well, or shall I shut up now?
No, go for a poem. Go for a poem as well.
Go for a poem, right. Right, this one I read a couple of days ago, called Book Unfinished. You were born mid-sentence, during a conversation between your mum and dad, in the middle of their plans for their story. You changed the narrative, took up a few of their paragraphs, then began your own chapters, shifted the storyline, introduced more characters, more children, all babbling, moving conversation, taking the story elsewhere into unimagined realms with plot twists as your family make their plans for their story, you die mid-sentence in someone else's book. And that's that. And I'll shut up now.
Oh, hats off to you.
I don't have any hats.
Oh, it's all right.
Hello.
Jeanette.
Right, do I read this with the hat on or the hat off?
Put your hand over your eyes then.
Yeah.
That
All
hat
right,
really
it's,
suits.
Right, well, I need the glasses off, but I'll keep the hat on. This one's called Easter Sunday Morning, Wigton, 12th of April, 2020. So anybody that knows Wigton, you're kind of going to take a walk with us. As Blossom laid a bed on winter's leaves, unwoken by the church bells once carried on the breeze, belted wheel watched over the silence from his walls, dandelions rode from the cracks as resilient ivy falls, over empty bridges, over empty roads, where tulips wait by empty tracks, train spotting with due care. Decorative tree twigs, where painted eggs are posed, sit beneath a handwritten note on windows sitting closed. Closed until further notice, signed off with a thank you. Below a thank you NHS, all forever in your loo. Frame quotation in a window, good friends are like a star. These times where we can't see them show exactly where they are. Belisha Beacon blinked and winked, it's safe now to proceed. Across his empty crossing, essential worker, his good deed. Floral adorned fountain, our well-loved centrepiece, instructs 4 acts of mercy, and hopes mercy will increase. A distant bird flies over the silence of the street, back to nest of safety, she'll wait for Throstle Fleet. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. Words closed inside the library, words unreturned still fly. Tissue paper gratitude, so rightly recognised, hard-working workers who are once unrecognised. Empty church unopened, on the day it's usually packed, closed first time in a lifetime to keep its flock intact. Finery's not needed, comfort clothes prevail, as we grow grey together, true colours will unveil. Above Memorial Garden, flag reminds us of a past that's been undured, with washed hands we can last. School drive signs, no entry, no longer just one way, an abrupt end of era, our future's next essay. Trees of learning tower a Daffodil Avenue, they all avoid my shadow, 1 metre time by 2. Pharmacy and doctors briefly sleep a well-earned rest. Queue markers still await them, tomorrow brings next test. Petrol pumps like sentries by empty garage floor, clock my hours exercise to place chocolate by man's door. I walk home feeling grateful, still shit down dog shit alley, still smoke from factory smoke, as Mary Ann still rally, with gadgets by our pump and lamp, they've stood by worse before, still stand, still hope, still waiting, for a clearer life once more. And that's that.
Fantastic. Hillary. We can't hear you, Hillary.
Okay, can you hear?
Yes.
You hear me? All right. Okay, good. I think I feel kind of a bit late to this coronavirus party, but this came out. I started it anyway. It's called Before the Peak of the Curve. And waking late to bright sun, I gain the window, and there below my garden shines and is ebullient with April blossom. I am lit and fired with joy. But the cruelest change is swift. I remember and I weep This is yet another not ordinary day. Through sudden tears, I hear more sounds of weeping, of hatred, shouting, spoiling for a fight. A slammed door shocks. The indrawn breath is fierce. The air turns sour with heightened vigilance of fear. A brow cracks hard against the kitchen wall. The mad hand splits the lip, and all love's hope falls gasping to the floor. Also, I hear neighbours call across the street, "What can we get for you? If you need us, we are here." The kindness of those who late were nearly strangers. I hear the prayer flags flutter, the blackbird's high complaint, her young ones stolen by the next door's cat. I hear the silence of the roads, the silence of the waiting air, the humming of the earth, the music of the spheres. As sirens wail this crisis into the city's quiet streets, and while each bud break of the plum and apple trees moves us further from that close, unheeding, ancient world where once we kissed, embraced, drew near and danced, I hear the sounds of weeping. That's it. Oh.
Oh, wow, it's very moving there.
Well done.
Les, do you have a song for us, Les?
Yes, I do. Now then, before I was in my suit. The reason why I was in a suit, well, it is a suit, because way back in the 60s, there was a guy who used to wear a suit. He was a brilliant guitar player. And they called him Davy. It wasn't Davy Crockett, it was someone else. It was Davy, and he influenced Bert Jansch and all them people. I can't think of his second name. But anyway, he used to wear a suit. He's a very tidy guy.
Davy Graham.
Everybody know who he is? Oh, Davy Graham, that's the man, yeah. Now, I'm not going to sound anything like Davy Graham. I don't need to be disappointed. But anyway, who was the other guy? Leonard Cohen, yeah. He was always smart as well, wasn't he, in a suit and stuff, yeah. So I figured the trick for success would be to wear a suit. But then I changed my mind. Perhaps looking like Bob Geldof might be better. Anyway, I've already lost somebody. I sang this at the folk club on Wednesday, last Wednesday. Chasing rainbows in the sky, imagining that you and I will be together one day soon. I'm just a fool for you. I'm a fool for sometimes I think I see the face of an emotion bursting over your face that you quickly try to erase. When I'm with you feel I still I can't let that dream go without first letting go. How I feel, my feelings. And I can't let you without wasting, you know how I feel. There isn't a rising by the shore. Since it's alone, maybe wondering what tomorrow is for. Without you, I'm a fool. Still chasing rainbows in the sky.
Okay.
Mine, they're not really coronavirus poems. It just happened because I've been in the house or in the backyard a lot. Been trying to write other things, and these things happened instead, which is great, I guess. This is called In the Backyard of the World. Probably needs another 5 lines somewhere near the end, but I'm not sure. In the backyard of the world, the seeds in the salad tray are coming up at last. Bright green beacons flashing from the rich dark earth. A revelation. The sun is out again, and while one neighbour plays bad music too loud and swears at the kids who keep on kicking that ball up against the garage door, my other neighbour talks across the wall about his childhood, how his mother used to grow tomatoes in a greenhouse by the kitchen and always worried she'd watered them too much. And we talk about what we remember and about the river that passes through this town and all the places we once fished and some of the places we might have passed along the way. A little more than 4 full decades I've moved about this big sad earth, the heat, the rain, this passing throughness. Still, some days it feels like I only just learned to tie my laces, stand up straight, walk without falling. That's that one. Thank you. So I've seen a lot of people doing things like learning new languages and, you know, reading massive novels and learning to do various new things. I've spent most of my time sleeping more than usual. So this sort of came out of that sort of a daydreamy sort of thing. I was just lying on the bed and these 4 words just popped into my head. So this poem's based on those 4 words and it's called The 4 Words. I, you, yacht, meow. Don't know why that popped into my head, but it did. So here we go. I, you, yacht, meow. Hypercognic, head hung over the edge of the bed, taking one of those midday snoozles that just seem to happen these days. The words float in from nowhere, a verbal visitation from the space between dreams and the place in which we pay the bills. I, you, yacht, meow. The phrase replays like a mantra. I carry it round the house, chant it to the spider plants, the mirror, the dishes not yet washed. Repeat the sequence 100 times over, faster and faster, till the words begin to blur, just the mouth pushing air about the place. I, you, yacht, meow, I, you, yacht, meow, I, you, yacht, meow. Pure sound of a pure land, new route to a new nirvana, a pathway to enlightenment based entirely on desire. This dream, this life is dream enough, being here with you, making bread, painting walls, watching seedlings reach light, all those little arguments we never let take root. But let's just take a moment. What harm could it do to whisper out those words aloud, cast the spell of I, you, yacht, meow? Close your eyes, put your hands in my hands. Can you see it? Can you feel it? The anchor is up. The wind is light but brisk enough to keep us moving. We lie on the deck in sunlight, warm right through to our bones. Two cats sleep sprawled between us, barely a sound as the bright, mad world slips away. Thank you. That's it.
Man, that was great. Craig.
Thank you, Owen. I thought I'd start by breaking a world record. So the shortest recorded poem I could find was by Muhammad Ali, where he was addressing a crowd of university students. He said, "Me, we." And so I took a bit of inspiration from that. I've come up with the following: I, us. So I'll be writing to Guinness next week. So that's my first one. And then the second one is a depressing one I've been working on for a while. So because I don't know how long my internet's going to hold out, I'll just read it, but also show you the words, if that works. I'll see. Yeah. I tell you what, as you're all looking at it, I can take and hear what I'm saying, so I'll just read it. It's called "It Takes All Sorts," parentheses, of drugs, parentheses. Loneliness never attacks alone. It's always partnered with discomfort or inadequacy or just a general feeling of alienation. Resist a black dog in any way that's acceptable in the situation in which it decides to rear its head. Hide, rebrand, desperately claw at relationships, anything to feel connected. Change. Change, but make it look effortless. Forever borrowing happiness from the future. What's the point? And then I got one more, which I stole from the internet. Let me get it right. Right. It's called void screaming. Sometimes I just scream into the void. But not today. Thank you.
Will.
Hi. The problem with being on after Craig is you never know when you're going to be on, because some of his poems are quite long and some of them are incredibly short, and you can never tell until you reach the end which one it's going to be. So I've written one about coronavirus, not about coronavirus, about what's going on in the world at the moment, because it's such an unavoidable kind of source of material at the moment. There's so many things, there's so many ways you can kind of like approach it. It's just this kind of like big thing that's currently affecting everyone's lives, even in different ways. So I wrote a poem called "Back to Normal." It's quite a short one, so and then I've only got one, so prepare yourself, Phil. Back to hugs on the streets and restaurant dinners. Back to office romances and lottery winners. Back to going outside without fear of blaming. Back to the ASBOs and identity shaming. Back to the classroom and enlightening chats. Back to the bullies and cramming for SATs. Back to the pubs and back to the dance floor, back to the fighting and back to the gore. Back to Sky Sports and a trophy for Klopp. Back to big transfer fees and the race to the top. Back to key workers dismissed as menial drones. Back to their bosses buying multiple homes. Back to the talks and get Brexit done. Back to the trade deals, the NHS for a gun. Back to a leader who's held to account. Back to expenses for any amount. Back to caravan parks and foreign vacations. Back to Australia and mass conflagrations. Back to treatments for cancer and other afflictions. Back to 0 hours contracts and no fault evictions. Backs to the ordeal we've just put behind us, and backs to the growth and backs to the kindness. Done.
That was brilliant. Wow.
That's wonderful. And Fernando Smith, please.
Hello.
Hello.
That's okay, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a song and a poem, but not necessarily in that order.
Surprises.
A poem and a song.
Right, what could it be? Ooh. This will be the last COVID-related poem I ever write, unless I write another one. And so I'll read this, and it's I wrote this after speaking with my son. I've got 3 children who are all grown up, and I've not seen any of them for a long time now, and that's really hard because I'm used to seeing a lot of them, and so it's only a couple of days old, so it needs a bit, you know. But I've got a hat on, so that's all right. It's called "The Centre of the World Where We Will Meet." I'm touching you now, your neck, your head, stroking shoulders that hunch and tense in a room too dark for these aging eyes. In a room where I recognise your toolbox smell. In a room where I was locked 21 years ago. Your young body set on a course of realising itself then, learning strength, application, practising the swing of the hammer, shaving a flake from the lintel, crafting a finger of doweling into a sieg between locations. And not even that. I'm holding you now in this darkened room with its black stars, where we pretend there isn't glass between us, where the air is not oil, nor our touch slithering from a cheek without sensing the cheek, having to remember the cheek, recovering a muscle memory, like 2 old dancers recalling ancient steps, or articulating a fury with a loaded vest gesture. And not even that. The time before the mist, we sat side by side on the sofa listening to the cat's tongue licking milk in the next room, its belly extended like a loaf of bread. It had forgotten how to stop feeding, and we no longer cared, now that our veins had dried up with exhaustion in the never-ending drought. And not even that. Our words drowned in the digital stream as we repeat the same news, attaching great significance to our reporting. We approach the Eucharist. We are serious as suicide, as helpless as kites tugging the wind. We have become the taut line suspended between earth and the sky. And not even that. Stay safe, we say. Tears jamming our view out the window, where the tree is patient and even now tenderly teasing a leaf from a scroll of bud. Stay safe, we say, choking on 8 letters, 2 words, a sort of prayer, a dread, a portent, maybe a lucky break. And not even that. Instead, this. The distance between things made flesh and crammed with a sour dreaming that bothers our nights, that inflames our days like a bruise changing colour. Stay safe, we say. Indeed, stay safe and come back to the centre of love when the dirty air is still. And this is a song that I tried to sing at SpeakEasy. The old one that used to have a bit of a rough bird behind the bar serving dodgy coffee. And as I'm often want to do, because I'm poorly motivated and badly focused, I as soon as I was stood up on the balcony bits just above the stairs and facing the Romans, and I decided to change my mind at the last minute and not sing it, and instead do an impersonation of Donald Trump talking to the senators. It may have been a good move, you can decide. I've never known a person-centered revolution, and this is called The Revolution is Dying. Can you hear that okay? Hear the guitar all right? Okay. The revolution is dying. See the fading light. I held its fingers as it went out into the night. Wearing badges and shouting things, but you know, never once heard it laugh. The revolution is dying, but it's all right. I heard it croak it would be back someday to fight another fight. It whispered, don't forget me. Remember all the sons and daughters of the revolution. But you know I couldn't picture them. Guitar solo. Thelonious Monk guitar solo. It'll all be over soon. The revolution is dying. See its little wave shaking a banner, it crawled off into the wind, smelling of books and old meeting rooms. But you know, never heard it crack a joke. The revolution is dying or taking flight. I heard it fuck right off into the night. I heard it slur. We all find our place in the revolution.
Yeah, if we all find the position we were in before.
It were that bad. The whole internet crashed.
You, Zoom gave you some.
It said you can fuck right off.
Yeah. The revolution is
dying. Like the revolution.
There is a God. And God has been merciful to you tonight.
That was good, man. You should always do it that way.
I fully intend to. It cuts out the encore rubbish, doesn't it? I think of walking off a stage and coming back on again.
Fading out of
It
existence.
was a dramatic finish. That's what it was.
The world has actually ended. This is just like an afterthought.
An echo.
This is how it ended. Future generations, archaeologists will find it. And they'll say, oh, well, that was that.
We're just going to drink this whole bottle.
Yes.
It's not worth saving,
Anyway,
really, is
carry
it?
on.
Thank you, Fernando Smith.
There was only another 17 verses anyway.
Philip. Jean.
Hello.
Over
Yes.
across
Yes, please. Jean's going to do an extra poem. If anyone's got any extra poems, Susan, have you got another poem? Jean's going to do one.
It's based on the COVIDiot thingy bob. What do you call it? Acrostic. You know, where the
Ah.
yeah. So, but mine has an extra letter because I can't spell. So it says COVIDiots. Oh. Yeah.
Excellent.
Claire's poem was not the wrong kind of painful. Live creativity crackles. Virus specks repelled by rainbows. Beauty in newts, blue skies, pelican eyes. Delight in the chemical speech of leaves. Into spaces of magic, us, obliterates introspection like trips to a Paris full of shrugs and cafes. Sleep, like snow, falls on mountains of pain. Not death's salesman, life's healer. Thank you.
It's very sweet. Thank you.
Okay.
Cool. Anybody else have another one? No?
I've got loads.
I've got a silly COVID one if you want it.
Okay, Roz, if you do a silly COVID one, and then we'll maybe have another one of Fernando Smith, seeing as he got cut off in the middle of your...
I'm going to have to go. I'm sorry, because I'm getting up early tomorrow for work. So I'm going to say
I'm going to chime in with what Susan said instead. I'm going to have to go as well because I've been up since very early this morning. Thank you very much, everybody. You did really good. Yay!
Yay!
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, Sleepy James. Good night, Susan, and your heart.
Good night.
I as well. I need to go as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody.
Good night.
Good night, Tony.
Good night.
Thank you for your poetry.
Lost my phone now.
Cool. All right, we'll crack on with it. A few last ones, and then we'll wrap up. So yeah, Roz, please.
Yeah. Hang on, I haven't found it. I don't know where I put it.
After all that build-up.
Yeah. So after all those people leaving, and I thought I probably should go as well. Is it? Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap up in a second anyway. Mark, did you want to do one more bit?
Oh, yeah, that was
Me?
it.
Oh, Roz,
Yeah,
have you
do you want
found it?
somebody else to go?
Okay, Mark.
Okay. This is called The Nice Smile. So it's a nice one. There she stands at the foot of the stairs, the nice girl with her nice smile. That's nice twice. I loiter for a while, hoping to catch her eye and have her smile in my direction. But she turns to look at someone else and smiles at them instead. That's two smiles. I'll wait around for a while longer, for two more nice smiles. Or one sexy grin.
Oh, that was great.
And Roz.
This was it. Even though we're in lockdown, solitaire is not the only game in town. When you can go online and get virtual pals on the internet, they'll play you at chess or Scrabble and fill your ears with incessant babble while you slyly tuck them in your bed and with indecent thoughts in your head. You must have some fun and frivolity, and why on earth not? It's mostly free. That is, of course, unless you choose to enjoy yourself with lots of booze. It's time to cut yourself some slack. Now the roaring 20s are back. But you're sure to enjoy some indiscretion before we hit the next Great Depression. And that's that. Sorry.
I'm coming round to your house.
Good stuff. That's great. Well, I've got one last one here to round things off. It's been a wonderful night. It's been great. People keep saying, what have I been up to? And well, one of the things is I've been able to keep editing some of the film projects and things I've been working on. So I've been, carrying on as normal-ish. And people say, what's filmmaking, what's editing like? And since it's all gone digital, it's kind of a bit like digital jigsaw puzzles in a way. And this one's called Forever Making Jigsaws. Forever making jigsaws, cutting out the pieces, fitting them together, building up a picture that tells 1,000 tales, splicing lives together, dialing up the sound, carving a performance from a look, a turn, a gesture, an action and reaction. Snap to it, splice, slice, cut and paste, shape and mold, laying out a timeline. See a stories told. Your story, my story, their story, our story. Stick together, glimmering, transparent, each stained glass moment, alive for a split second. Celluloid, time capsules, forever preserved in the jigsaws. Descendants of the magic lanterns, cousin to the zoetrope. Flickering image, moving pictures, cinematic, widescreen, Panavision. Watch with bated breath as worlds and dreams, memories and faces nearly forgotten come back to life and smile again as we smile back and watch as we're building up a picture, fitting them together, cutting out the pieces, forever making jigsaws. And that's that. Oh, thank you. Well, it's been a really lovely evening, and thank you all for joining in. Just give yourselves a round of applause for everyone who read, everybody who listened, everybody who sang, and let's give another round of applause to all the frontline workers and the essential workers who are doing their thing and keeping everyone going and keeping everything safe and all that. So,
and thank you, Phil, for setting it up.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for your work, Phil.
And everyone who drew.
You're a key worker.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting us to your thing.
And to our resident artist who was drawing on the live as we were reading. So thank you.
I really liked your box hat.
Oh yeah, a round of applause to all the wonderful hats that we saw as well. That was fantastic. Cool.
Fancy dress next time.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a dress code every time? Shall we pick a theme?
Yeah, you can only wear white fleeces on a white background.
Yeah, like a polar bear. Cool.
Everyone has to just have one feature item.
I like that idea. I think we should do that. They can't be your face.
I saw. I had a naked video this morning.
You had or you made?
No, I was doing some work and with a girl I've been working with, and it's like an online therapy thing because obviously we can't meet each other. And she just moved out, and so she took me for like a journey around the house and all the rooms and things. Really excited about it. And she went into a room, and her grandmother was there getting dressed. Mercifully, she wasn't looking at us. And I didn't know where to put myself. And we both ignored it and pretended it hadn't happened.
Funny enough, that's probably going to crop up at a later therapy session.
My therapy session.
Yeah. Oh dear. And on that note, everybody stay well, keep safe, and have a safe journey home. And
thank you for tonight, guys. It was so much fun. I hope you're keeping well. It's lovely to see you all.
Okay. I was really good crack.
Cheers, guys.
Well done, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.